Sunshine.
How big is your food?
It's pretty small. It's like a little
All right, we're live.
kidney shaped one.
All right. All right, it's time to begin our meeting. Let me figure out where I'm at here. So we're calling our meeting to order, our regular board meeting of the Mayor, Board, and Aldermen for Monday, June the 9th. And if you would, let's stand for the invocation. Chris Roberts can come up and give us the invocation and the pledge.
Let us pray. God of grace, we come before you this evening with humble hearts, grateful for the opportunity to serve our community. We ask for your presence to be among us here in this meeting, guiding thoughts, words, and decisions. Grant us wisdom beyond our own, clarity in our discussion, and unity in purpose. Father, we ask that you bless our mayor, our aldermen, and all who serve in this chamber with integrity and compassion. Help them as they seek the common good above all else, and allow them to lead well and to listen to the community of Tullahoma with humility. Where there is disagreement, give them and us grace. And Lord, we would be remiss if we failed to mention the folks involved in yesterday's plane crash. Be with them and their families to heal and restore them. Give them your peace and assurance that you walk with them even in difficult times. Lord, may all that takes place here this evening honor you and lead to the flourishing of Tullahoma. In the name of Christ, amen.
Amen.
If you would join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Our next item is roll call, and we've taken the roll here electronically. Aldermans Wilson and Toma are absent this evening. Everyone else is present. The next thing we want to do is we've got a couple of commendations and certificates. Miss Maggie Lynch with Tullahoma Distinguished Young Women and Claire Hargrove with Cumberland Valley's Distinguished Young Women here with you. If y'all will come up here and present these certificates. And I'm sorry, who should have asked you for? I should know these things, but I'm going to have to ask before to do. So here we go. Allows them to take photos. Okay. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Then we go one more. Second. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, and let me say, so I always do distinction on women, y'all are really sharp at these people. Would you like to say anything? No? All right. Thank you very much. Take the opportunity, Next item is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the, I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry, yes, comments from citizens first. So for comments for the citizens, we had, as far as on the sign-up list, is Deborah Zukowski. Are you here, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Come and tell us. And you have 3 minutes.
All right. Okay. My name is Deborah Zukowski. Whoops. And I live at 500 Bragg Circle, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Senior Center in Tullahoma. In last Wednesday's Tullahoma Times article about last Monday's meeting, it was mentioned that you all had a concern over issuing grants to nonprofits before considering their contributions to the public good. And let me assure you that the financial support that you give to the Senior Center is so appreciated, and it's so vital to the well-being of so many citizens in our community. The Senior Center is more than just a physical structure that people visit for an activity and then leave. It's a home, and the members there are family. As one gets older, their world shrinks. Kids and grandchildren may move away, or they're wrapped up in their own lives. Friends may move, enter nursing homes, and many of our friends even pass away. The center becomes the place to go for companionship, help with issues that we face, for laughter, for physical, emotional, and mental nourishment. Many people, citizens, senior citizens, spend their entire days there, which is a necessary alternative to isolation in their homes. I understand the budget process is complex, and dollars and cents and return on investment is critical. But your contribution to the Senior Center goes well beyond a line item on a budget. It goes to the hearts and souls, the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of the seniors that have served this community for so many years. And we sincerely thank you for that support.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't think we have anybody else, but is there anybody else? Greg, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I didn't
Go ahead.
get here in time to sign in. Evening Board. First, Greg Sandlin, 106 Albemarle Drive. First, I want to say how proud I am of the city and county leadership responding to the plane crash yesterday. The guys did a really great job on the press conference and all, and just remarkable. And it received national attention. I got a call from my brother in Ohio who saw it nationally. So just great job on all that. Police, fire, emergency response. You guys did a great job. My point tonight, I appreciate Jason Quick sending me a copy of the proposed budget and for taking the time to talk with me about the budget. And I also spoke with Alderman Byrd and Alderman Toma. And then I heard Mayor Seaborn speak publicly on the budget and the proposed increase. I understand the need. I'm a civil engineer and I have served as an alderman, so I know the situation you're in. And however, I think it's important. I think I speak for a lot of Tullahomans that no one wants to have their taxes go up, right? And especially with the commercial properties being assessed at a higher rate, I'm just concerned that that's going to, force an increase on cost to the customers. I think the citizens, the voters of Tullahoma, need to know that city leadership has examined every means to cut spending before looking at a tax increase. Then a couple of questions. Are there any expenditures that are simply not the role of the city to take care of that could be removed from the budget? Are there any expenditures that could simply be delayed? Some of the departments have seen are looking at quite an increase. So I just wanted to ask those questions. I know you have a challenging job, and I wish you well, but these are important questions that a lot of Tullahomans are asking. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, with that, we'll close public comments, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So a motion and approval from Alderman Mathis, Alderman Byrd. If there's any discussion on the agenda, if not, we'll vote. Mayor. No. So, was I supposed to? What was I going to add? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to make a motion, or I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add the item on the charter change to protect the funds for road construction. And Mr. Quick sent that out to everyone this afternoon. You may not have had a chance to see it yet, but at least we can get it on the agenda and have a discussion about it. Do we have a motion for that? Second. All right, so we'll add that to agenda. Actually, I guess we haven't voted on the agenda yet, so we don't have to do it. So anyway, we'll add that to the agenda. And now we'll have a vote on the agenda. Yeah, sorry, we should put it.
I've got to get it up here.
You got to get it up there first. We did have a motion. Do we need a motion? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we hadn't passed the agenda, I couldn't remember. So we'll make that, I guess, item 20 under new business.
Two motions for the original approval of and then Glickenberg.
Yes.
So So this is to add the resolution.
Yes. To add the resolution to consider a charter change to fix, a level of effort for road construction in the annual budget, or however that's, we don't have it titled, do we?
No, I just put the resolution number.
Okay, that's fine.
Everybody vote on
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah. All right, so let's vote on the amendment to add that to the agenda. Are we voting now? Everybody okay with, all right, maybe I'm the only one that hadn't voted, sorry. All right, so that adds that to the agenda, and now we return to the original motion to approve the agenda. All right, so the agenda for the evening is approved. At this time, I'd like to suspend the regular Board of Merit Alderman meeting and enter into the Beer Board meeting. We have several items on the Beer Board agenda, and in the interest of not making the folks waiting on that wait around all night for all the other business, we'll deal with that first. Sorry, which page is that? Apologize, I thought I had it. Go to the front page. Working on it. 58, 59. Oh, there we go. I'll have it. 160. Yeah. Is that the entire agenda there? Okay. All right. So the only item we have on the Beer Board agenda is, no, that's what I was trying to find right there. It's right there in front of me. Do we have meetings? No. Minutes? We don't have minutes. All right. So item number 25, BB-BB10 for the Beer Board. A request to approve special event beer permit and waive fees for a nonprofit, the Highland Rim Kiwanis Club, City of Tullahoma 4th of July celebration, Thursday, July 3rd at Grider Stadium, and Ms. Tracy Sargent will oversee the beer sales. And do we have any comment from staff about this one? I don't think we do. Do we have a motion to approve that one? Okay, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to look at the board. So a motion for Mr. Glick, second for Mr. McGee. If there's no discussion, let's vote. So that one's approved, 5-0. Item number 25-BB11, a request to approve special event beer permit and waive fees for the nonprofit Hands-On Science Center event, Are You Smarter Than a Science Camper Trivia, on July 19th, 2025 at the Hands-On Science Center. Mr. Austin Cisco will oversee beer sales. We have a motion and a second on that. Is there any discussion on that one? If not, let's vote. All right. That motion carries 5-0. Then item 25-BB12, request to approve beer application and on-premises permit for Vision Hospitality Management, Holiday Inn Express and Suites Tullahoma, 2030 North Jackson Street. Ms. Stephanie Keller, manager, will oversee beer sales. So we have a motion and a second on that one. We have a motion from Mr. Glick, second from Ms. McGee. Any discussion on this one? If not, let's vote. And that motion carries 5-0. And then the final one, item number 25-BB13, a request to approve the beer application for on-premises permit for Wawa Greek 2, 119 North Jackson Street. Mr. Sammy Bibawi, did I say that right, sir? Will oversee beer sales. We have a motion for Mr. Glick, second from Ms. McGee on that one. Any other discussion there? If not, let's vote. And that's approved 5-0. You're approved, sir. So that concludes the beer board meeting, so we'll adjourn the beer board and return to our regular agenda. Now the question is, how much did I just mess up my stack of paper I just had? Yeah, that's what, I'm at 8 to 10 here now. What did I do? I think I did that. Yeah, you're right. Lots of paper tonight. There we go. Thank everyone for their patience while the mayor tries to figure out how to shuffle all this paper. All right, reports from the alderman. I think I'll start on that side. We'll start with Mr. Glick. But I know he's got several things to report.
Well, I'll try to make it fast. It sounds like we have several items on the agenda, but at a past board meeting, I had asked staff to look into the parking lot situation and whether a code would cover maintenance of the parking lots. They reported back to me, and they said that we do have an ordinance, and that is an effect that would would force the issue of having them pave or maintain their parking lots in a proper manner. But they were going to send out letters first and try to gain compliance that way. Use the nice approach first, and then go on from there if we had to. Mr. Quick could say anything else he wants to about it. I did notice that they were making some parking lot repairs at Northgate Mall area, so I don't know if, I assume they probably already had that scheduled. I don't know that Jason's got any letters out yet, but anyway, but that's a step in the right direction. Maybe if we get some others, especially with the emphasis we're putting on road repair and everything, it'd be nice to have the private roads be repaired as well. So that's a good thing. The other thing, I've had several people in Brookfield subdivision complain about the drainage from the new development over there, and I got reported back by staff that the contractor is going to look at the engineering and possibly make some changes to improve that drainage situation. So hopefully we'll get somewhere on that now. So that's all I have.
No report this time.
Thank you.
Ms. McGee?
I don't have anything to report.
Mr. Byrd?
First, I'd like to say that I'm extremely thankful for the Tullahoma Police Department, Fire Department, and Airport, along with Coffee County Sheriff's Department, Emergency Management Agency, our ambulance service, Life Flight, and Tennessee Highway Patrol for their response to the plane crash. We're very appreciative to have such well-trained personnel. I was able to attend the I-24 industrial site tour. That was a great thing to see, being able to see the new TCAT location being constructed, and also know that they already have built into their plans the ability to almost double their square footage of that facility. And then I was also able to attend the opening of Joe Moon Field on Saturday. It was great to hear so many stories of what Joe did for the youth in our community. It's great to know that we still have people like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So just a couple of quick items from me. I also attended the tour of the I-24 industrial site, and that was a really good event in the people that came down. We had direct participation from the State Economic Development, EDC Commission, but the Assistant Commissioner was there and spent the whole day with us. Basically, not only did we go out to the I-24 site and kind of drive all over it and look and see what was going to be done there, we also came back and had lunch in Tullahoma, and there was, I think, 4 project managers from ECD, and including Steve Crook, who's now project manager and is kind of helping work to hopefully locate some things in this site. But they had 4 of the project managers and the assistant, the deputy commissioner of economic development, We had participation from the TCAP facility in McMinnville, Dr. Edmonds, UTSI, and Motlow, our state rep and our state senator. And just had a really good visit, but the nice part about that was the extra time to visit with all of them at lunch. And then we also went out and XP Services at the airport hosted us to talk about the airport park as well. And we got to see some helicopters and things, since everyone was really impressed with that. So kudos to the Industrial Board of Coffee County for hosting that and just doing an excellent job and helping promote not only Coffee County, but Tullahoma in particular. So I appreciated that. I thought Alderman Glick was going to talk about the ribbon cutting for the soccer complex, which I also got to attend the other day. And so that's great. As a parent who used to have to try to carry kids to the porta potties and whatever, it's nice to see a nice facility there with a nice covered pavilion. I thought that's one of the great features. You can sit in the shade a little bit and get out of the heat on those hot soccer days. And so appreciate that. And then I again wanted to thank all of our first responders, and they just kept me excellent information all afternoon. I was getting updates on that from Mr. Quick and our sheriff and our police department, and appreciated that. And John, hope everything's going well with that. And it's I know it's not a great event, but I know you guys will handle it in a great way. So appreciate that. Report from City Administrator.
I'll keep it short as well. I also attending the industrial tour. It gave us time to talk about some of the needs of Tullahoma as far as infrastructure and how we can have some state assistance to look at that. So in speaking with Rush Bricken and Janice Bowling, but then also speaking with a few of the economic developers to let them know that those are definitely needs that we're going to have within Tullahoma that continue to arise. I had an excellent meeting with our insurance carrier Travelers, who, if you'll remember, we brought them on. They began coverage July 1st of last year. What made it so great is when your representative comes in and he wants to look at lost claims, he says usually he will meet with the city and there's a thick pile of papers to go through. We had 2 to go through. So he was heavily impressed and commended our staff for what we've done from a risk aversion and really looking at our practices and procedures to making sure that we can keep our claims low. So extremely good meeting, and they have been an outstanding partner for us. And then I want to say, we've heard so many kudos regarding how the responders responded yesterday. And it's one thing to tell you how impressive it was, but if you were to actually see it in action, it was just poetry in motion from the standpoint of, as much as you train, will this actually work in the time of crisis? And I can tell you that every one of our staff members responded extremely well. And if you look at the budget, you'll see that as you've been aboard and in previous boards, we do an awful lot of training, and that's in our budget, and we'll come to you with budget requests. And I think yesterday was a great example of that return on investment from the standpoint of the training that our people, that you graciously paid for and allowed us to attend, that actually comes to fruition in an event like this, and it was just tremendous. So I think the best thing I can tell you is when you have officials from D.C. call, you have officials from Nashville call, and continue to talk about the impressiveness that they felt in the way we responded, and then also the way that we've been handling communications for the media, for NTSB, for FAA. That just makes you feel really good, because I've had several say that they've never seen a city our size be able to handle a crisis event with such poise as what our fellows did. So I just want to say thank you to each one of them, and they know exactly who they are, and Tullahoma should be very proud of the people that we had on scene yesterday.
Mr. Quick, if I might, I neglected to mention Lyle Russell, who did a great job of communicating like he always does, and I don't want to leave him out.
Lyle was the rock. He, when I received that call, the first person I called was Lyle, and I said, Lyle, I'm on my way. You need to get there. And what Lyle was able to do in his role as public information officer and speaking with people from the press in New York, we had an international call about 9 o'clock last night for him. He handled it with such professionalism, and again, something that Tullahoma should be very proud of.
Thank you, sir. All right, consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? A motion, second. Any discussion on that? If not, let's vote. All right. Consent agenda carries 5-0. Unfinished business, we have a number of these zoning ordinances that we started last time. for second reading. Number 4, ordinance number 1648, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 208 West Deckard Street from medium-density residential R2 to high-density residential R3 for passage on the second and final reading. Do we have a motion to approve that one? Oh, I'm sorry, it's swapped over here on me. So we have a motion and approval for that one. Any discussion? If not, let's vote. Did you lose your monitor? Let's call IT up here. Yeah, he's there. He was already handing his stuff aside. You just hit the power button, did you? Oh. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. All right, so we have motion and second. And I think we're ready to vote if you're ready. All right. That motion carries 5-0. And now, next one, ordinance number 1649, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, is set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 115 North Collins Avenue from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3 for passage on the second and final reading. So we have a motion and a second on that.
The property at 115 North
Sorry, I
Collins
don't know what
Avenue,
that's at.
Tullahoma, Tennessee.
I guess Siri
has been the
decided to-
subject of a rezoning
I don't even know how that happened. It's just sitting there. Did I say something that sounded like, hey, no, okay,
Yes.
say it again. Start to say, hey, Google. I don't know why. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Let's vote. And that motion carries 5-0. Next one, ordinance number 1650, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma, Tennessee, as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code to rezone a parcel located at 1311 Cedar Lane from residential, industrial, and warehousing I-1 to low-density residential R1 for passage on the second and final reading. So we have motion and second on that one. Let's vote. So 5-0, it passes. And then the next item is our budget ordinance. So this is ordinance number 1651, an ordinance adopting the annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026 for passage on the second of 3 readings. Do we have a motion and a second for discussion? So a motion by Alderman Byrd, second by Alderman McGee. All right. Get my stuff in order here. So on the budget ordinance tonight, does anyone have any discussion they want to have on the budget ordinance tonight?
Yeah, I have a couple items.
All right.
I've got handouts here.
Just go around to them, I guess.
Thank you. Here's for you, Sue, and Tullahoma News Attorney. Okay, what I have here, the whole first page, if you'll indulge me looking at there, I just went through all the budgets that were available on the city website. It went back to 2019. And so if you see the very first budget listed there was 2019. I used the budget summaries located like on one of the first pages of the budget there. And in 2019, I won't go through all these, but in 2019, the revenue for the city was $28,104,276. I mean, 28 million,
Yeah.
sorry. I wish it was 20. And then the appropriations were $27,868,867. So
Can I ask a clarifying question there? Is that just the general fund?
that's the general fund,
Okay.
yeah. That's all I was working with
Yeah.
here is the general fund. And then if you fast forward to this year, the request or the proposal is $39,631, $631,861. So in, so that's 7 years, the budget's gone up about $11,762,000. And I understand that the revenues have gone up as well. We haven't had a tax increase that whole time, and the revenues have gone that much, so we've kept pace. So it seems to me that we might not have a revenue problem as much as maybe a spending problem, because in all that time and all those budget increases that we were having all those years, it was always our responsibility, always this board's responsibility to take care of the roads. And it was neglected, and I'm sure there are good reasons why. I'm not questioning anything, but now we get to the time that we need to take care of the roads. And I am hoping, and I would like to make a proposal to have the staff investigate if we can do that without having a tax increase this year. The idea that I have, that I'd like to make as a proposal, the budget is not, we are asking for 15 cents tax increase for the roads. That would net us about $750,000 to go to roads. 5 cents to go to the municipal building project, which would be net $250,000 toward that project. But that's only $1 million of the increase. The budget this year from last year is actually increasing $2.2 million.
I thought it was more like 1.9, but yeah.
Yeah, it was $2,241,707. So what I'm requesting is to do away with the tax increase, keep the $750,000 worth of road repair addition, and then so you're going to be reducing $750,000 off of the okay, when you cut out the tax increase, that cuts out $1 million worth of revenue, so that already brings down what we could increase our budget to is $1.2 million. So then the $750,000 worth of roads will still be in there. So that will allow $491,000 for other increases in the budget. And then I'm proposing that the municipal building project, the $250,000, be taken out of reserves as needed for that portion of the project. I know it's not that clear the way I said it may be, but maybe it's be easier to tell with what was written there.
No, it's easy enough to follow.
It's, I guess the bottom line is, I think it's very important we do the roads and we put that money into the roads, but I also think it's important to not have a tax increase this year. I realize with the municipal building project, the $250,000 is not going to pay for that project, and it's not even going to probably pay for a bond issue on that project that we would have. So what I'm seeing is down the road is that as that project in a couple of years, as that comes into fruition, there'll probably need to be a tax increase at some point to be able to pay for that. So I would hate to do a tax increase now and then hit people with another tax increase in a couple of years.
I don't disagree with that, and I can't remember, so I was having a conversation with Ms. Wilson the other day. Did we think we were going to roll off some of our existing debt in time to use some of it for the municipal building?
It should roll off it'd be about 2 years.
So we may get some relief that way.
Well, that'd be a good problem.
That'd be a good problem,
Yeah.
right, yeah, so no disagreement there. Any other discussion on what Alderman Glick has proposed here. I mean, basically, it sounds like what you're asking is to, let's task the city board is what would it take to make that happen?
Right, yeah, I'm not an expert, and I don't want to try to tell Parks and Rec how many rolls of toilet paper to buy or anything like that. I think the staff is better suited to know where these cuts could come. We're asking for, I think I had, it's a $750,000 reduction in increases.
Say that again. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind, I got that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the 1.2.
Well, it is and it isn't, because you're also saying let's pay for the municipal building with reserves.
Yeah.
So it's more like $1 million, but yeah.
Right, yeah, okay.
Okay.
If they decided to
So
go a
just
different route of paying for the
Roughly
municipal building.
speaking, let's see, we've got, I thought is this general, oh, that's the general fund, okay. I was thinking, I was kind of doing that math in my head last night myself, and I was thinking it was basically asking for kind of, if nothing else, a 4 or 5% cut across the board. It's probably not quite that much, it's probably more like 3 or 4, because $1 million, 25 million would be a 4% cut, if we cut $1 million.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to put, does that need to be in the form of a motion?
Yeah, a motion to amend.
Well, are we making an
potentially.
amendment, or are we asking him to bring us another proposal?
Well,
I don't know that that's
I
actually
don't
an
know.
amendment.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, I mean, we can't make an amendment when we don't even know which lines are going to be cut.
Right,
To the
yeah.
budget itself, which is what's under discussion right now.
Can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
clarify, are you asking us to go back and find $750,000 of cuts? I'm confused.
Yes.
Because there aren't really, the only adds in this budget really of that magnitude would be COLA, step, and fixed cost. There is no capital projects in this budget. There is some equipment we could take out, but they're really not to that scope.
Well, that's why I said I think you would be better, the staff would be better suited to do that. I know there are some new positions in the budget. I think I kind of went through it, and I came up with like $400,000 worth of things. But then I started looking at it and say, well, some of this might not be doable, and I didn't want to go through the whole exercise of going through the budget and finding things to find out that that's
Well,
not
some of-
doable.
Yeah, for some examples, some of them, are things that already have their own dedicated funding source, so you can't really cut them because
Right.
you can't get the funding, so you don't get any benefit from it.
Right, yeah.
Like
so-
the SROs, and if we said, well, we're not going to have SROs.
Right.
We wouldn't get the money.
We
from
wouldn't
it.
get the money either,
So
yeah.
It wouldn't help us any.
And then some of the increases on, you go through the line items, when you're going through the line items, look for big ticket items, of course, where you could get a substantial savings and that have a substantial increase. Now, some of those might already be spoken for that you can't cut, like in finance, for example, the finance salaries, there's a 20% increase. I know she had an explanation about that. I can't recall what it was, but so if,
There's a personnel transfer, right?
It's
Yeah.
replacing the assistant director that
Oh,
was the
yeah.
purchasing officer.
right, so that's why I was saying that you could say, yeah, just cut that 20% increase down to the 4.5% cost of living increase, but then maybe that money's already required. So that's why I stopped doing what I was doing, going line by line, because I just figured it was futile for me to try to adjust a budget that you guys work very hard on. You guys would be the experts to see if you can make those cuts.
So this sounds a lot like, to me, what I used to see at AEDC, which basically turns into an exercise. Show me, if you were going to cut 5%, what would you cut? Or whatever, that's not quite 5%, it's probably more like 3 or 4. Sounds like we're asking the staff to do that. Can we get that done in the next week and a half? To me, it kind of gives an alternate proposal, perhaps, to say, this is what we're buying with our tax increase versus what we're losing if we don't do that.
Right, yeah, and the first reason why I started thinking about that was when I looked at the budget and saw it was going up $2.2 million, and we've been talking about doing a tax increase to pay for $1 million worth of increases, then I was saying, well, what's the other $1.2 million worth of increases? So what is that paying for? So if nothing else, And if we can't get to where we need to be, maybe we can get part of the way, and maybe we could have a smaller tax increase, or maybe we can get there all the way and not have any tax increase at all and get everything we want. But I think it's worth a shot at trying anyway.
Okay.
I do have a quick question. Sue, you said that some of the largest increases, it's cost of living, step increase, and equipment. That equipment, would that be including things like the scheduled police cruisers?
No, that would be a whole different fund. That's in the equipment reserve. The only equipment in the general fund is SWAT equipment, turnout gear, software, stormwater software. There isn't that much equipment in this budget, and there is no transfer to capital.
Stormwater software is coming from a state requirement, if I remember correctly, and then this SWAT and turnout gear, that's less than $100,000, if I remember right. So I guess what we'd be looking at is pushing the possibility of a tax increase to another board. That's kind of what I'm hearing when...
I'm sorry, how would that work? Who would we be pushing it to?
To a future board.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because that's, I mean, looking through the budget and the answers we've gotten, it doesn't seem like there is much fat to trim right now.
Well, there is almost $40 million worth of spending, so I think finding some cuts could be a possibility.
I guess I would put it this way. I don't think there's fat to speak of. What we might decide is to trade off between the roads being more important than other things that are important.
That's what, yeah. I think everything that, I've worked on the staff. I know there's not a lot of fat in the city budget, but there are things that could be delayed. I mean, we've delayed roads all this time.
So I will say delaying doesn't buy us a lot, right? Because next year you won't have that and you still got the roads.
Right.
So if I'm delaying, that assumes I'm going to find money to pay for it next year.
Well, there is growth. And we have
hopefully.
been growing. And as you can tell, the revenues in the 7 years have gone up by almost $12 million also. So, we could grow into being able to make those other things. And if we keep raising our taxes, that might stifle some of that growth.
I want to push back just when you say when we keep raising our taxes. We haven't been raising
sorry,
our taxes.
no, we haven't raised them in years.
Because people keep saying that.
No,
it's just not true, right?
But if we do raise our taxes, we could stifle some growth. I'm not predicting that. I'm not an economist that would predict that. But that is a scenario that plays out a lot. To lower taxes, you're going to have more growth. So I'd say keep the taxes low, hope for more growth, and and there are some uncertainties right now with the economy as well. So anyway, that's my proposal, and
I just have a comment. I want to thank Alderman Glick for his time and effort in putting this all together, and I agree. Looking at to see what can be done. So we won't increase taxes. And like he said, if we don't meet it all the way, at least part of the way, so we won't have as big of a tax increase if it's needed. So thank you so much.
So within that, of what could be reduced, there's a couple categories. It sounds to me like we have some things like software and things that we might not have a choice about. Maybe there's some that we do have a choice about. A lot of the larger purchases, I think, are in capital funds, not in the general fund. So that starts coming back to personnel. So do we want to see options on headcount versus pay raises, or do you have any suggestions there? Because I don't think with what's in I don't think there's enough extraneous. I mean, aside from salary, about most of the items are just either software or equipment, and a lot of that is in a different fund account.
Yeah, a lot of it would probably have to be, the city budget is heavy in labor, of course, but so it might be that, but I'm not for laying anyone off or reducing anyone's pay or anything like that, no. But there are some new positions and there are some unfilled positions. And, maybe we could make it through without filling those positions now, and to a time that we could afford it better. And then also maybe, and I know it wouldn't be a big chunk, but this would all be a little chunk here and a little chunk there, 4% or whatever is not a lot. But as far as the pay increase, I think if there are employees, say, that have been here for less than a year, maybe they shouldn't get the 4.5% pay increase. They haven't even been here a year yet.
Well, they're getting 2.5 plus their step, right?
I'm not sure. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Two plus the 2.4.
Yeah.
But
So that's
the
a-
step's the same for everyone? Okay.
And that was just a thought. And I don't even know if that would be proper or fair or do it, but that's what I was saying, is that's why I didn't want to go through and try to make these cuts myself, and leave it to the staff who are the experts, and they could tell us whether it is doable at all.
Okay.
But I think we owe it to the public, to the taxpayers, to give it an effort.
Any other comments or questions on Mr. Glick's proposal? Any other comments on the budget that you want to make? I know Mr. Toma had some comments that he had sent, but I think it's appropriate to let him wait and give his own comments when he gets back. Anyone else have any comments at this time about the budget?
I do have something. Jason, what I sent you earlier, is that an amendment that we would be making to the budget? If we could do the same as Kurt's and take one and pass it down. This is a amendment. It doesn't reduce or increase the budget. It is simply to reallocate some of the funds. I'll wait until y'all all have one. This is something that I spoke with Lyle about. This is one of the budgets that he has control of. That is the beautification and forestry budget. That is page 86, if you'd like to look at that. Historically, it doesn't use all of its funds. I believe last year it only used about $10,000 of its $30,000 funds. After speaking with him, there is some possible growth in the beautification in the future. So this stays well above what he had recommended to me. So it is a reduction of $7,500 for that fund or that account. And then that would be getting redistributed to the Arts Council, the Historic Preservation Society, and to the Hands-on Science Center. This is all tourism money that is funded by our hotel motel tax. So it can only be spent on other tourism efforts and tourism development, I believe. It's money that we couldn't really send to roads or to payroll. And I did include in there some examples of the specific projects that these would be going towards. Arts Council hosting more events, creating advertisement products, and replacing signs and floor stickers for the Arts Crawl. The Historic Preservation Society, they also maintain the signs for historic areas and buildings in Tullahoma. These funds would be going towards replacing some of those damaged and worn signs. And the Hands-on Science Center, they are renovating, and this extra money would go towards making their entrance ADA compliant.
A little surprised it's not already. So do you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I move to amend the budget. Do I need to list each one of these individually, or?
No, I can just,
Okay.
Use this. Do we have a second for that?
got it.
I will,
For discussion?
yeah, just for, it's already, she's got a motion and a second, so can I speak? Or?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no problem with any of these additions, but this might be something also to give to staff to see if it might fall into their program of finding creative ways to get savings, so.
Well, we can go ahead and do this for now.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then they can always bring back and
Yeah, I
change
agree,
it again.
I agree.
So,
We have a motion and a second on the
Yep.
amendment.
on the amendment, all right. Anybody have any discussion? Any other discussion about it? Sounds reasonable to me. All right, let's vote. Okay, that motion carries 5-0.
I just didn't want the staff to think, oh, there's another place that's locked in that we can't do anything
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Any other discussions on any changes to the budget tonight? We got, what, 2 weeks left before our third reading, is that right? So, the next 2 weeks is the time to come up with any other final things you want to see and change. Encourage you to make that effort if you think you're going to want to change something last night. All right. If there's nothing else to discuss tonight, I don't think I have any items I wanted to bring up tonight. I guess we'll take a vote on our second reading.
So this is on the budget as presented.
It's on the budget as presented, as amended.
As amended, yeah.
Yeah. So we have 4 yes and 1 no, and then we'll proceed on to the second reading, or the third reading in 2 weeks.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just for point of clarification, what does that do for Alderman Glick? Are we supposed to go back and look for $750,000 in cuts based off that vote? Or?
So we can make a motion to that effect if we think we need to. Do we want to do that, to direct staff to do that study?
I'm not an expert, but if we need to
Well-
do that, or do we need to make a motion, do you think?
I'm looking for direction from the board is all. And
I think it would be good to do.
Okay.
If we need to make a motion, then let me know.
I'm good either way.
Because I think it clarifies what the trade-offs are from what we're asking the
Okay,
public to do.
okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay.
All right. So did we got, okay, so,
That was that Ford and mine.
yeah. All right, so now we're on to new business. Item number 9, an ordinance of the City of Tullahoma to amend future compensation for members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for passage on the first of 2 readings. Mr. Glick, can you talk about this one?
That was mine.
Oh, that was yours, okay, go ahead then.
This was originally passed in 2021 by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to increase the current board's salary, but also include an increase in 2032 for the salary of the board. In 2032, it would make the mayor's salary $20,000 and the alderman $12,000. The amendment is to remove that 2032 increase. While we're talking about increasing tax, having a larger and larger budget, I don't feel that it is right for us to leave in there that a future board would be getting paid more. That would be, oh gosh, combined $32,000 a year, which once again might not seem like much, but we're also talking about trying to pinch pennies right now.
I'm a little surprised it was passed that way to begin with. I'm sorry, do we have a motion second? We do. Because it's almost like reading the future that far ahead.
Well, I actually did some research there. It was originally just supposed to be an increase in '24, and then it was amended to have an increase in 2032.
I wasn't on the board when they did that, but I was a staff member, so I sat through discussions, and I can remember when they talked about it, the original motion was to give them raises up to what the 2032 raise was. And I think it was a compromise, they said, is we'll just raise it this smaller amount at first, and then several years later, we'll have an automatic raise kick in. I'm not saying I'm for or against it, but that was their thoughts at the time. And the thoughts of having it automatically kick in later was because no board can vote to give themselves a raise. So it takes several years for a raise to take effect anyway. So I think they were just making it take effect, at a later date. And like I said, I'm not against not giving the raise. It probably won't affect me, might not affect anyone on here. But we might be a little premature in making that decision for a future board, because when it comes up, you can't give yourself a raise, but you can vote not to give yourself a raise.
Yeah.
So I think at that time, maybe that, I just, maybe leave it to the board or a future board to decide.
I'm a little surprised anybody looked that far out in the future.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think it was a compromise because there was a group of them that wanted the higher raise.
Yeah.
And then to get it passed, it was a compromise situation to where they did it the way they did it.
All right. Any other comments on this one? If not, let's vote. So that motion carries 3-2. All right. That's on passage for first two readings, so we've got another cut at that one. Resolution number 2025, a resolution to provide indemnification to members of the board of mayor and aldermen under certain circumstances. Get a feeling the lawyer's going to have to talk about this one.
Alderman Toma raised this issue with us and also with TUA. Earlier, we've discussed it before, but we never did the research necessary to come to this conclusion. The city of Tullahoma does, of course, provide liability insurance coverage for a number of events and a number of types of risks that we are going to be involved in from time to time. But there are gaps in the insurance coverage, and also in the immunity provisions, both federal and state law, that certain instances could arrive where we have no immunity for members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and we don't have insurance coverage for them. So this provision just is to allow us to indemnify them if they incur legal expenses in lawsuits brought against them in their official capacities as a member of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, which we can pay for those expenses for.
Could you
this
describe?
is important because you all are, of course, acting in the public interest, and this provision would not provide indemnification if they did anything that was illegal or an act that was not in the best interest of the city.
Could you give a general description of the kind of gap that exists now?
It's pretty complicated.
Okay, I'll trust you.
It's much more complicated than I can actually tell you. Now, if there are certain kinds of lawsuits can be brought under civil rights violations and other kinds of allegations that might be included under our insurance policies, and if they deny coverage, then of course these people are left to either provide their own funds in order to have that to defend themselves or be liable for a judgment being rendered against them. And there are just certain kinds of activities that are lawful activities undertaken by board members that there might be, I'm not saying there is, but there might be no coverage for it.
Is this going to change our coverage expense? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I would expect it to. As to what amount, I could not tell you.
Okay. So we have a motion and second. Anyone else have any questions on this? Be nice to have a cost estimate, but I don't guess it's possible to get one at this time. Go ahead.
Is this something that if the cost is prohibitive, we could just vote to have it removed in the future?
When would this go in effect? Upon passage, as written? Yeah, it goes in effect upon passage.
One thing you could consider if you wanted to table that, and that would give me time to get this information to our carrier and find out what the gap coverage would look like and those types of things. I don't mind doing that.
Well, I just want to state
I'm all
that
in.
there are also immunities that members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen have from liability as well. But in order for that immunity to be adjudged, they have to defend the lawsuit brought against them, which will, of course, be very expensive many times. And this may also cover that kind of thing as well. I think it's fine if you want to wait and see what our insurance carrier says, but frankly, this is almost like additional self-insurance that the city will provide for these people. It shouldn't affect our insurance coverage at all, because it won't cost any more for us to do this, and we would do this on a case-by-case basis if the occasion were ever to arise.
Oh, you mean that we would
So-
cover people anyway?
Right, so this is, the city would indemnify, or the city, basically, the way I understand it, the city would then incur any of the legal expenses that would not be covered by our insurance company.
I think, of course, I want to see the price of it, but I think this is an important thing to do,
Yeah.
because eventually you're going to get to a point where no one would want to serve on this board if there was lawsuits, personal lawsuits brought against people and everything else. Everybody would be scared to be on this board, or scared to make a decision.
Yep.
So I think it's an important thing that be provided.
Any other discussion?
So in going back, then I would not need to, because I misunderstood, this would be to cover anything that is not covered by the policies we currently have in effect. So I would not need to go back to our insurance carrier.
Okay.
Would we cap this? I'm sorry, would we cap this in some way, or is this open-ended, as in any expense up to like 50,000, 100,000? Is there a cap to this, or just when it happens, it happens?
I would
Is that
shop
the way
for
we
an
pay
insurance
for it?
policy, an additional insurance.
Currently, right now, our insurance does cover the Board of Mayor and Aldermen in most every case that I can tell. I'm definitely not an attorney. There could be times when there's unusual circumstances which could preclude coverage. I'm not sure what those circumstances would be. So I do understand. I do think without having a cap on it, the city could be on the hook for some fees that would be detrimental to any budget going forward.
Well, I think the statements in that coverage, it puts in there that it wouldn't cover a lot of things that somebody could do. So it would actually only be covering somebody if they are acting fully within their position as an alderman and their civil right to vote.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think we should be covered for.
If I might make one more comment, this is not just blanket,
Right.
hands-off coverage of these people. We do that on a case-by-case basis as the matter were to arise. And obviously, there are a lot of exceptions where they wouldn't be covered, but this is exactly like the self-insurance we have for workers' compensation. We provide whatever the coverage is necessary ourselves rather than provide insurance for that. We could perhaps buy insurance for this, but the occasion would probably never arise. But this is just a little bit of, let's say, psychological insurance for members of the public that might want to become members of the Board of Mayor and
I
Aldermen.
don't think it's going to have a big fiscal effect.
Just as a point of clarification, we're not self-insured for workers' comp. I think you may be thinking health insurance, for which
Yeah, right, I'm sorry.
Right, but we do collect healthcare premiums, so that kind of offsets some of those costs. Just point of clarification.
All right.
All right. If there's not any other discussion, let's vote. Five yes, so that motion carries. Next item is resolution number 2026, a resolution establishing lieu of tax payment for the Tullahoma Utilities Authorities for fiscal year 2026. Staff have a
So typically, we receive a payment in lieu of taxes of $750,000. In fact, that's something that we would include in the budget. This year, we have received a letter, in fact, last year was $751. This year, we received a letter that amount was going to decrease by $102,000 to $649,156. That is due to an equalization rate offered or provided by the state to Coffee County, which was used to make that determination. And again, it's used to discount the assessment to the overall market in between valuations.
All right. So this is not a negotiation. We either accept it or we don't, right? unfortunately.
Is there a staff recommendation, or is
Yes,
there
they have a
a
formula
choice?
for that.
I think we have to accept that.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. We have a motion, a second. If there's any other questions there, if not, let's vote.
So they made us an offer we couldn't refuse.
Yeah, it's based on the state equalization rates. 5 yes. All right. Item number 25-58, a request from the city administrator to approve the annual renewal memorandum of understanding to prevent the Tennessee Correction Academy to use the City of Tullahoma's community centers as a temporary emergency shelter and authorize the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding.
This is the standard, MOU that we will have with them, and maybe a couple of others, just gives them the ability to use our centers in the case of any kind of emergency that required a shelter.
Okay. Do we need to wait on the Mathis? I'm not going to worry about it with this one.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Let's go ahead and vote on this one. All right, 4 yes. That motion carries. Item number 25-59, a request from the police department to approve the annual software support agreement for ISOMs with M&M Microsystems in the amount of $13,000 or the coverage period of July 1st through next June 30th, and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. So this is a software package for the police department.
The annual renewal of the
Yeah.
support system that we have in place.
So with motion second on that, any discussion? All right, and that's no discussion, let's vote. And that motion carries 4-0. We had a couple of routine votes, so we just let you abstain. Is that okay? I figure you wouldn't be here longer. Item number 25-60, a request from the Parks and Recreation Department to approve the quote for production from Myers Live in the amount of $15,200 for the Independence Day celebration.
Again, standard contract that we use for the production of the event every year.
There's motion and second on that. There's no discussion, let's vote. That's 5 yes. All right, next item 25-61, a request from the city administrator to approve a partial replacement of the South Jackson Performing Arts Center roof and accept the quote from Bunn Roofing in the amount of $30,280.
So not long ago, I believe it was last year, we did a roof replacement. There are two types of roof. The one that we replaced doing well. This is the one that we did not replace. And we really have two options, is to repair or replace. We truly believe the best spending of funds would be to go ahead and replace, because the repair is not going to be that much less. So we feel like this is an excellent protection of that building that we own.
That's good. All right. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? If not, let's vote. Five yes. Item 25-62, request from the city administrator to accept the donation of a parcel of land at the Short Springs Natural Area from Tullahoma Utility Authority. Go ahead.
Do you have a motion? Okay.
Oh, sorry, yes, we do.
So, I'd say probably 9 months ago, Friends of Short Springs came to us and with a concern regarding parking. And since then, I took it upon myself to really investigate, look, and research, and notice that there's extreme parking issues out there. Met with Alderman Glick, members of TUA, and we looked at what could we do to try to help alleviate that situation. And together with TUA has donated land, and we are providing, we had put parking spaces, striping the whole thing there, added an additional 15 spaces. Special kudos to Alderman Glick. We looked at a situation for about 30 minutes. He rolled up in about 5 minutes, gave us the true solution that made a lot of sense. So I appreciate his work in this as well. So this is the donation of land, basically us to accept.
So is that a paved area already?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
just paved it, striped it, and we did that just because the paving season, and we had some extra material that we couldn't do anything with, so we went ahead and placed that in there.
All right, thanks. I'd just say the number of visitors we get from out of town coming there, it's well worth encouraging that. for the-
100%.
for
Plus,
tourism.
it alleviates some of the concerns for residents on Powell Road as far as illegal parking and obstruction. So I think it's a great opportunity to alleviate that and take some of the pressure off of the park ranger and even our police officers who are called out there to write tickets or do towing.
Yeah.
What happened here, just to fill it in, they had talked about clearing an area of trees and making a parking lot in that area. Well, I noticed that there was a pretty large fenced-in area around the water tower, so I asked, well, could the fence be moved? That would leave plenty of place for parking right there, so it ended up being the perfect solution.
Great. So we have motion and second. If there's no discussion, let's vote. Five yes. Item 25-63, a request from Alderman Byrd to approve the establishing of a rotating art and historical item exhibit in the executive boardroom of the city municipal building. Alderman Byrd, you want to discuss that?
Yes, this
We have
is...
a motion, let's get a second. Yeah, okay, there we go.
This is something that came up at an Arts Council meeting, and Lyle might actually be able to answer some of this better. It was suggested that we create an area in the boardroom, since we just have some pretty plain walls.
Put it in front of my photo over there, that'd be great.
But somewhere that we could highlight local artists or historically significant photographs or items. And in speaking with Mr. Quick, there might also be a location downstairs that we could put that.
Perhaps.
And I don't think we have a representative from the police department, but the lobby of the police department also has an area. So it would be something that the Arts Council could make part of their regular meeting every 2 to 3 months to select a new piece of art or historically significant photo or item, something they could help highlight the community.
Yeah. All right. Any other discussion on that? I think it's a great idea.
I do. Thank you for bringing that.
Yep. Let's vote. Five yes. Thank you for that. Item number 25-64, a request from the IT department to approve the funding of $12,725.30 for a wireless mapping tool to reduce the number of labor hours required to continually modify and test proposed solutions. Go ahead.
So what we have, for lack of a better term, when you're doing this wireless network mapping, when you do it manually, it's hit or miss. So you go and you establish all of your access points, whatnot, then you go back and to see if it works. Unfortunately, you don't find out if it really works or not until you have traffic on that network, and then all of a sudden it drops. This right here is going to create an awful lot of operating efficiency for us. It's going to cut down on a lot of the labor hours. We're now focusing on trying to find those networking locations for wireless. While you may not see the cost in the beginning, again, when they can focus their efforts on more important things, and we can have sustainable, consistent wireless opportunities for all citizens throughout our buildings, that would be important. So that's why we're recommending this. On a different note, you'll notice that some of the paperwork is not there due to some of the state concerns regarding some of the details that we do not want out.
Security. It's a security issue if we release some of that stuff. All right. We have a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Then our final item, I'm sorry, not our final item, next to final item, item number 25-65, a request from the city administrator to formally accept the purchase agreement for 1201 Country Club Drive and authorize the mayor to sign necessary documents for closing.
So, as you'll see in the background, I've created quite the scenario of how we've gotten to this point. Before I go any further, I want to really say thank you to Butch Taylor with Public Works and Eric Pierce for their work in not only looking at this spot, how can we make it not we're talking about the country club and the Kings Lane widening that we're going to have and the turning lanes. I can't say enough about them helping to get this set up. So when we made this purchase of $250,000, my goal was to make sure that we could sell that house. And so we created every opportunity that we could to make the necessary improvements to the road, have the turning lanes as we're looking for, and preserve the house to where it would be marketable. We have met with the family that lives across the street at 1107, which is the old King Estate. They have or had interest in in acquiring that house. We talked about some of the things that we were going to have to do regardless as far as some of the improvements. So we're going to take out their driveway. We have to put in a new driveway. So as you look at especially really when you turn to near the last page when it talks about some of the additional agreements that we have, and I'm thinking it's on page, let's see. Pardon here. Well, sorry, it's on page 9 of 10. You'll see there's an attached, which then you'll go to the back, and it talks about some of the things that we have agreed to do, which is they're going to give us the right-of-way off of 1201, which is taking some of the land off that parcel. And then we're going to be giving them, and they're granting us the right-of-way. It's going to be about 9,000 square feet that we're going to be needing. And in fact, they've given us more than what we actually thought we needed. But as they were gracious with that, we've been able to create an even better design because of that. And then you'll see there's some other items there, removal of old asphalt and basically replacing the driveway. And we have agreed to, unfortunately, the red oak tree that is there on the corner is one of the biggest trees you'll find. It is starting to cause concerns for liability. Trees, limbs are falling and all not. So we've agreed at our cost to do that versus their cost. So with all that, we arrived at a selling figure of $230,000 for that house, which I think, based off conversations I've had with real estate agents, they think that is an incredible price. So I don't think that we could have come out any better in this situation. We are looking for you to agree to this, and then we'll start the process. We look to close within 3 weeks at the most, and then we're really anxious to get started on all of our work. As an update, we've met with TUA. We've already have all of the pole relocations, line relocations. They've been extremely good partners along with Charter and with AT&T. So everything is falling into place. We couldn't have imagined it any better.
Any chance we'll be done before school starts?
That is the plan. I can promise you they know that. It's drilled in their mind that we're going to be done before then. And so that's why we're trying to get all of this accomplished now and start the work.
Right. So motion second, any other discussion about that?
I had a couple questions about the design. Did you just use all the available space there for the turn lanes, or were the length of those based on like traffic counts?
No, not the length. It was more the width. We're able to create that width. It will come in earlier, if you will, on that property that we're acquiring for them. So we get to come in earlier and create more of a lane as opposed to maybe 2 or 3 cars. Now you can have 4, 5, or 6 cars.
That's what I was saying.
Yes.
Is that as long as we could make them?
Yes.
Okay.
This allows that to help even more.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
All right, let's vote. Five yes. All right, now in theory, we have one more item that I have buried in this stack of paper I've been shuffling around. So can I look at yours? So we have one more item, this resolution number 2027, which was drafted for us at our request in the last meeting, and Mr. Worsham's drafted this. Mr. Worsham, you want to describe what you did here for us?
Yes, this is kind of in conjunction with which Alderman Gliff discussed a few minutes ago regarding the budget and provisions that we codify in some way that would be very difficult to amend it in a, let's say, spur-of-the-moment type action to provide that a certain percentage of our annual budget appropriations be dedicated to the maintenance of roads and streets in the city of Tullahoma, and that we pass this resolution tonight, and it will reflect what hopefully our budget and ordinance enactment will reflect this year, that this will go into our charter, providing that no less than $1.5 million per year shall be appropriated for road maintenance in the city of Tullahoma, or no less than, or 3.8% of the appropriations of each annual budget.
So I assume the 3.8 is the percentage that we would have this year if we pass the
Yes, sir. It's
full
reflected
1.5
this
million.
year, and it'll be that amount or no less than $1.5 million in the future. Because obviously our appropriations can, and our budgets can vary from year to year.
Yeah. Any discussion about this? I have a few comments, but, sorry, I keep losing my voice tonight.
I just have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear, Mr. Worsham, what you said in the very beginning. If this, you referenced this with what Alderman Glick said. I didn't hear everything that you said.
He brought up matters relative to provisions that we discussed in our budget regarding a sum of money that we were earmarking for road maintenance, which would be paving, but maybe more than that.
This was in the
And
last
then
meeting, I
other-
think you were absent at.
So this just makes it more permanent.
So the idea here is that, especially if we were going to ask for a tax increase, to guarantee to the taxpayers, we're not going to appropriate that money this year and then turn around and reappropriate for something else next year. And so and that's really, I think what has happened over time is it's awful easy to say, well, we'll pave those roads next year. But when you do that 10 years in a row, then we end up where we are now.
It's kind of like Congress taking from Social Security.
Yeah, same thing, right? So I think that regardless of whether we have a tax increase or not, the way this is worded is a good plan.
I think it's good, yeah.
So, and do we have to just pass it this one time?
Yes, sir. This is
And
just a
do we have to
resolution.
have a?
Right.
But then we don't have to.
We'll then prepare the resolution to amend the charter between now and when the legislature reconvenes in January of next year.
And remind me, we don't have to have a two-thirds vote tonight, only when it comes back from the legislatures. Was there a two-thirds vote requirement anywhere?
Right, that'll be then, yeah, that'll be
Okay.
later, yeah.
Well, just a point to add to that. I know that the previous board had done a lot of work on charter revisions, and I believe in talking with you, Mayor, that was something that, or some of the aldermen, that's something you may wanted to look at, again, just to look and see, and I would think that we would add those all together and send them as a package. I don't know if that's still your thought, as you wanted to look at some of those.
I think we could.
I think it would be prudent just to see. I don't want us to keep going back to the state year after year after year, asking for charter revisions.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, this is, I think, something that's probably.
No, I get you. I'm just, it's more of a reminder.
We can submit them
Just
as a
as a reminder,
package.
if this is something you want to do, is look at that previous work, that then we would try to put all that together and send it all at one time.
Yeah, but I think it's important we vote on this one now in the middle of the budget
Right. process
so people understand what we're emphasizing.
Yes, this applies for this fiscal year that you're in the budget right now, and then in the future, it also requires a charter amendment.
Yeah.
Which would be due in the future.
Okay.
And Mr. Glick's suggestion is well taken. I think there are some things in our charter that we might want to look at again
Right.
later on this year, because we've got plenty of time between now and January.
Right. Okay. Any other discussion on this one? All right, if not, let's vote. Five yes on that one, so thank you for that. And I think we're at the end of the agenda, right? So with that, we're dismissed, or adjourned, or whatever the proper is.